Welcome to the Panic Button. I'm Jessie.
I'm Nina.
A big thank you to everyone who's donated money, because it's definitely helping us build a fund for our new camera, because that is the first goal that we are getting done here, so we can give you longer form videos. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy.
Today we're reacting to on-the-street interviews. Can children consent to puberty blockers?
Children cannot consent to puberty blockers. Do you agree or disagree? What's going on, man?
Oh, well, like everything, it's a spectrum. Can 1-year-olds consent? No. Can 2-year-olds consent? No. Can 9-year-olds consent? No. Can 12-year-olds consent? I personally would say no. Can 16-year-olds consent? That's where we get into a different conversation.
Do you mind if I ask 15
Sure.
and up, or just are we going to do 16 and up?
It depends a lot on maturity. If you were to set an age, I would just keep it at 18. But does it mean that I think it's criminal for a doctor to give a 16-year-old puberty blockers?
So the primary point would be 16 and up, and a bunch of therapy sessions. Parents agree, yes, it's totally cool.
I would think that therapy sessions would be unnecessary.
Unnecessary?
Unnecessary, yeah.
What if a child has mental health comorbidities?
Well, if they were to impair their judgment, and they were to impair their judgment to a degree where their parents would need to get involved regularly in their lives, then they shouldn't be able to make many decisions for themselves.
There is no 16-year-old out there right now who doesn't have their parents interacting in their daily life. Like, maybe like the occasional ones that got emancipated and started working young, but at 14 I started working, and I'm telling you, at 16 you still need your parents to drive you to school. You need your parents to teach you to drive so that you can get your license. It's not about their judgment being cloudy. It's the fact that they're too young to realize what the repercussions are. I don't think 16 is the worst answer, honestly, because I think at 16 most people kind of have a responsibility to follow through on.
But they
what they've
still
done.
can't smoke or drink or...
But that's why I don't agree with 16.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the worst answer in the world, but I don't think it's the true answer. Because at 16, there's a lot of very immature people still.
Absolutely.
Or you can be very mature at 16. It's too big of a contrast at such a young age to just knock it off at 16.
Also, if you're referring to children, what age is children? Is 18 a child?
Well, that's when you...
Is 16 a child?
Child is being used as a synonym here for minor.
So minors.
Yes.
So minor is under
18, 17 in some states, but usually 18. Yeah, I don't think they should be having any procedures that are going to change their adult life as a child.
Yeah, like if you can't get a tattoo with your mother's permission,
Which I couldn't a week before my 18th birthday, so.
then you shouldn't be able to do any of this stuff.
Yeah. You can have your parents in there saying, do it. They won't.
It's a cute jacket you got.
Thanks very much. Do you have any other material?
No, that's pretty much all I
Okay.
got. But, I'll keep you a
We got a big genius here.
I think
I'm a really smart
We
guy.
got a super genius here.
I'm a genius, I know.
So tell me, why do you think it's okay to sterilize kids?
Oh, no, I'm talking about jackets, man. So we're going to stick with jackets. Maybe 80s
Okay.
haircuts, too. What is your favorite 80s haircut?
Let's go with the mullet.
Ooh, no,
I'm a Canadian, so I like a good old
I'm a
hockey
Jerry
mullet.
curl man myself. I love those little nice little tips. They're beautiful.
I'm trying to play tricks on you, but he's shaking.
I'm not shaking.
This happens all
It's a
the
little
time.
cold.
I get this.
It's hot outside.
You get this
I'm wearing
adrenaline.
a jacket and pants. Of course it's hot outside, man.
You get this adrenaline
You just said
rush
it was
because
cold.
they're so unused to seeing anyone
I'm
tell
indecisive.
truth.
Wow, this guy is all over the place. They're calling him out because he's having like a small panic attack right now, I'm sure. Because he's like shaking.
But what is his opinion? I've lost his opinion.
My opinion.
No, his
No,
opinion.
I'm telling you what his opinion is by telling you what my opinion is.
Your opinion
okay?
of his opinion.
So, my opinion is that he saw the sign and he's like, ooh, that makes me mad because I think children can consent to a lot of things. So he
But
goes
he's not
over
fighting
there,
that.
Right? Because he doesn't want to start the argument because they're not worth it, right? So he's going to go up to them and make fun of him, like make fun of his jacket, make fun of his not having hair, doing that kind of stuff.
Is that what that was?
I believe that was him trying to be nasty.
Because to me it
But
seemed
then
like...
he got flustered because then James called him out on his shaking, in which he said, it's cold outside. And then they said, but you're sweating. And he's like, well, it's hot. Hold on. Calm down, sir.
I guess, yeah, you can see him flipping back and forth and just kind of floundering around here. So why did he even go up to talk to them is my thought process.
I think he thought he might have had the balls to do it, the cojones. But when he went up, they went up inside him. The balls.
I just don't see the point of having a conversation if you don't have anything to say about it. Like, obviously the sign is a conversation prompt, So I'm just confused as to why he even began to speak with them.
Okay, well, maybe we'll find out.
That it's shocking to them, and they have to try to stop
I'm
it.
totally
any means
shocked, man.
possible.
I'm blown the away. I just can't believe it, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Is that why you're behaving like this, or you
No,
want to
it's how I
have
normally
you
act.
want to just have a normal conversation about this?
I'll talk however I want.
So just to clarify your stance right there. If they are suffering from other comorbidities, perhaps you would change your mind on your initial position. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
Thank you for the reasonable take. If you start digging into this, you will find that literally all of these kids have some other mental health comorbidity
So
going
I've
on.
dug into this a little bit. Do you know what I believe the exact number is below 50%, right?
No, it's way higher. It's
And also-
almost all of them, honestly.
Okay.
So about 50% of these kids are on the autism spectrum.
Okay. Do you know what the percentage of kids today that have some sort of mental affect or comorbidity, as you said? Comorbidity, sorry.
No worries.
I don't know if we have numbers on the whole general population, but
It's higher than it's ever
pretty
been.
ridiculous.
It's
Oh, I
nearing,
know.
It's nearing 30%.
there's so many kids on antidepressants and all this sort of stuff. The world's a mess.
Mm-hmm.
Why are you?
That's a really fair point. But it also knocks down what he was saying about letting them do it at 16, 15, and going from there. Because if you look at the world in general, the United States in general at least, we are the most depressed, least optimistic, absolutely insane generation that I have ever fucking seen. The depression rates are going up. Mental health is a big deal because everyone's dealing with it. That's where the stigma has gone away because everyone's dealing with something mentally. So if you're going to say that these kids don't have another problem, that's just a lie.
He
These
just
kids-
proved that it was a lie by
Exactly.
saying that, yeah.
Exactly. And plus with COVID taking them all out of fucking school for a year plus some and isolating them, you think that their mental health is at a peak? The rest of the world couldn't handle the year of isolation.
I think they would have been okay if they didn't have social media
well, that
and had to go outside and like interact with people.
if I feel like social media is bad, but it was amplified once COVID happened.
Yeah.
And they told all these people, stay in your home, don't talk to anyone, don't do anything.
Unless you're going to riot, then that's okay.
And that's when these kids develop their entire personality online.
Yeah, that's when all the non-binaries started coming out.
And it's not healthy because your only community is people online that think like you and that probably aren't near you. It's no wonder these people are depressed. They don't have a friend group. They don't go out and hang out anymore. No, people don't do that. It's wild.
I have nothing to say. Yes, it's wild. It's very wild.
Well, yeah, the lack of socialization. Society is dying because of a lack of socialization.
And bad parenting. Amongst
Yes.
other things.
Yes. We are no longer a socialized society.
No, like the hottest song is about Booty Hole Brown. I mean, if you take a
Booty
look,
Hole Brown.
no, listen.
Mr. Booty Hole
If-
Brown.
If you can tell where society is sometimes based on the music. Listen to the music.
Yeah, who's one of the number one selling artists outside of Taylor Swift? Billie Eilish.
Drake, Cardi B.
It's sad.
It's just a sad state of affairs.
Everyone is just like depressed as can be, and you get more points in the world if you're more depressed. I mean, that's the way the world is working.
I don't like the world.
It's not good.
People aren't nice.
Like, I understand if you're sad. Yeah, you want people around, but you don't deserve to be given everything. And it definitely doesn't mean that you should go ahead and let kids change their genders. Or you should think that your kid is right for after a year of isolation and having no friends and playing a lot of video games to sit there and say that that person wants to change their gender at 16 and they should is very crazy to me. No time ever in the history of the United States have we told everyone to stay home.
Disrupting.
I can't
Why
read.
do you not want to talk about this?
I can't read.
You can't read. Okay.
I'm not
Nope,
surprised.
cannot read.
Not
That's
surprised.
not coming off as
Big
shocking at
time
all.
idiot. Can't read.
I'm not an ultra activist. I wouldn't even classify.
He can't read. But how did he figure out how to get to the yoga class? Because he's got a yoga mat on his back, right?
You have a phone?
He can't read his phone.
How do you know which store is what store?
Obviously, he's like freaking out internally.
I feel
and
like
just kind of being oddly autistically combative. I don't know. It's very weird. He's a very antisocial person.
I like the way you put it, autistically combative.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no other, like, I'm not saying he's autistic, but it might.
I get what you're saying. I think on another side, this could just be someone who saw a camera and wanted to see how much of a dick he could be.
That too.
As an activist. But I do see things pop into my stream on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube sometimes. And the comments I see are some of the most disrespectful, harassing, bullying comments I've ever seen. And look, I would never take away anyone's right to say things, even if I think those things are awful. I do think that could, do you not think that could explain some of the anxiety, the depression, some of the mental disorders that you see in the transgender population?
Real quick.
Yep.
The reason you're seeing those comments is because they have the most likes. That's why you see them first. Just want to point that out real quick. Secondly,
Hate baiting.
yes. Secondly, people on TikTok, on Instagram, they have no life. Their life is TikTok and Instagram. That is all of it. So if you want to say maybe this is causing some of the anxiety in the world, yes. Do you want to say maybe it's causing some of the transgender stuff happening? I think what's happening is young children see these people on TikTok and they want to be happy. And these people look happy. That's what's happening.
We're talking about what came first here, the chicken or the egg. So you're talking about people who are already identifying as trans who are now getting bullied. It's not that they were getting bullied, so they identified as trans. But let's back this way up.
Okay.
So first of all, bullying, very bad.
Bullying's
People
bad.
should not be bullying anyone.
That's a good
Agreed.
take.
Okay.
Good take, you guys.
We all-
I can't read the
Well, it
signs.
says children cannot consent to puberty blockers.
Yeah,
Do you
we'll
think
read
it's
it for
okay
you.
to stop children going through puberty?
Can you make that analogy into with the 70s haircuts thing and kind of, merge those two ideas together?
All right, you guys, let's take a few moments to talk about today.
I don't understand that fellow at all. Is he in school?
When you said autistically argumentative, notice how he keeps going back to the hair. It's either to, like you said, call him out on not having hair, or it's because he's like just trying to be an asshole.
You ever met those people, they just don't know how to insult correctly?
Yeah, it's funny.
It's really, like, you think they might be insulting you, but you're not sure, because it's not coming across as an insult, but the way that they're giving attitude about what they're saying makes them believe that it's an insult.
Right.
And it's like both of y'all are on two different tracks.
Right. Right.
Going
Well,
opposite directions.
I think that's the problem when you're very woke. Is you're so nice to everybody. Everyone's so nice to you, so you're like, you don't have hair. It just doesn't have the effect you want it to
It
have.
has no effect, no.
Man, well, hey, good talking to you, bro. Thank you.
I'll stay around and stuff.
Cool.
Okay.
Hang out with you guys.
So this is what insane people do.
I know, yeah.
They come along and they're not able to have a conversation, so their only strategy is to try to derail all conversations. Getting right back down to the basics here. What is a transgender child?
Oh, well, you're asking the wrong person. But
Okay,
if I
hold
were to
on,
give a
hold
definition-
on. Okay, I'm gonna let you answer. Sorry, I
Okay.
shouldn't have cut you off. But why are you the wrong person, first of all?
Because I'm not transgender.
Wow. God, I'm glad we don't live in his logic.
What's a gay kid? So they're asking what a trans kid is, right?
Yeah.
So what's a gay kid? It's the same question. What's a trans child? A child who suffers from gender dysphoria and would like to transition, right? Is that inappropriate for me? Is that wrong? Am I
No,
wrong?
it's not right. I'm just like,
Like,
his answer was just kind of took me back a little bit. Like,
Well, yeah, but like you said that when you were getting babysat, you were attracted to your babysitter, right?
yeah,
So then hypothetically, you were a gay kid.
but I wasn't
Like you weren't acting on it. No, but
Yeah,
you
no.
knew but you knew that you were attracted to women.
always.
So that's the same setup, right? If like so Blair White was
Yeah.
not transitioning as a child.
Right.
However, she was a kid who would become trans.
Yeah.
So would she be a trans kid?
No. Have you ever seen a kid and been like, that kid's gonna be gay?
Yes.
Have you ever seen a kid and been like, that kid's gay?
Yes. Gonna be gay? Or that
Go-
kid is gay?
Is gay.
Well, what's the difference?
Well, is gay mean he's acting on it?
Well, I
Will be
don't-
gay means eventually he's gonna act on it.
This is where it gets a little confusing for me.
Okay.
Because if you know that you are this way as a kid, once you're at least, well, let's say minor to make it easier. Let's say minor because that's what we decided was kid earlier. So once you're 15, 16, 17, you are now a gay kid, right?
Well,
Right.
you're not really a kid. You're a teen, young adult.
But by their definition of kid that they, like children they put in earlier.
Yeah, 17 is technically legal in some states.
But I guess my point is, what's the difference between someone who will be trans and someone...
You can also look at that little kid and be like, oh, he's going to be gay when he grows up, and not be gay when he grows up.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But when I look at a kid, I'm not thinking, oh, he's a gay kid.
No,
he's
you don't ever...
No, he's not doing any of that stuff.
That's not how the thought ever comes up, though. It's like...
Well, that's what gay means.
Well, if you see a kid, the only reason you're thinking he's a gay kid is because the kid's, like,
feminine.
Playing with Barbies, and it seems, like, way more into chick stuff, and, like, wants to watch My Little Pony and shit like that. Like,
yeah.
Like, that's how you would be like, this kid's probably going to be gay.
Yeah.
But if that child becomes 18 and they are coming out as gay, were they not a gay kid?
They were...
Do you have to be acting on your homosexuality to be considered gay?
Yeah.
You have to act on it to
That's
be considered gay?
That's the point of it. Yeah. Comment below.
I don't think you have to...
What do you think?
So if I'm 24 and I've never had sex ever, but I know I'm attracted to women, does that make me not gay?
Nope, you're not gay.
But what if I'm gonna have sex with a woman in like 3 years?
Well, until you do, I don't trust that you're gay.
But that's why I'm confused, because I know I am. I'm only attracted to women. However, you're gonna call me straight until I fuck a chick?
Absolutely.
I don't think that's... I'm just saying I think that gay is more of a label for your sexual orientation.
This is why we can agree to disagree. That's all.
I can't believe you'd call me straight.
Now let's get back to Fro Boy.
I like Fro Boy so far. He's at least rational.
Whether we are identifying that way or not.
There is a good bit of discussion in the transgender community about what a transgender person is, which is why I say I'm not the right person to ask. I could easily say, not being gay, that a gay person is somebody who likes somebody of the same sex, right?
We can find that.
That's obvious.
Yeah.
But there is some discussion, some debate in the transgender community about whether a transgender person is somebody who simply changes genders by will, which I completely disagree with, or somebody who has gender dysphoria.
Between the puppy and the signs, we're going to have a lot of
So that at least makes sense. I like that this gentleman is at least making some sense. He said that if you just want to change your gender on will, he doesn't agree with that. But if you're going through procedures, that's something different. What do you think a trans individual is?
Are we talking transgender or are we talking transsexual?
He said...
Transgender is pretty much someone who identifies. Transsexual is someone who actually goes through the procedures.
Well, yes, that's today's take on it. But if someone were to say to you, what is transgender? Before any of this craziness happened, what would you say?
Before when?
Before the past 5 years of the craziness.
Okay, so you probably have to go back 10 years for me.
I'm trying.
What would I think a transgender is? I wouldn't know what a transgender was because I've only been, used to transvestites, transsexuals, cross-dressers, stuff like that. Transgender is more of a new thing that I didn't know was a thing.
Because apparently gender and sex are two different things, and da-da-da-da-da. Yeah.
Yeah, transsexual, I know what that means. Transgender, just identify into the group.
Right. Well, if I were to take the word and say transgender, it's someone who's changing their gender. And if I'm taking today's version of gender, then that has nothing to do with anything besides appearances.
Yes.
Now, if I'm supposed to go based off of what I feel, though, is a transgender individual will change. If you're a woman, you'll get your tits cut off. If you're a man, you'll get tits, vice versa, whatever you want to say. But it takes a lot of work to really be that, and no one today is working for that. They say gay is so easy to say.
Why would they?
He just said, it's easy for me as a straight man to say gay people are attracted to the opposite sex. But for some reason, the same straight man can't say what a transgender individual is.
I don't understand his logic.
Is it because of the debates going on within its own community?
Probably.
I would love if
nobody can fucking agree on anything.
If you are, because I know we have people who watch that are transgender. And
transgender, transsexual.
Whichever you prefer to identify as. I'm not too finicky about it. I would love to know what it's like in your community talking about this. Because I would love to know what each individual trans-identifying person would say is trans.
And not just the people online.
Right. Because, I mean, I'm not saying he's not the right person. I'm not saying we're not the right person. I just want to know what the people who are dealing with it would say.
What does it do I only know what it does to males. I don't know what it does to females.
Okay, so
let's arm her.
Let's do it.
I was like, I know that it
armor with the
makes you,
facts.
as for boys, it stops you from being too,
So boys aren't going to
Yeah.
grow facial hair. You know, they're not going to develop their deep voice. They're not going to get the broader shoulders. It reduces bone density. For girls, their breasts aren't going to grow.
I just want to make a point real quick. And we've made this point in other videos, I believe, but I just want to make it again because it's very important that puberty blockers for boys, biological boys especially, aren't good if they want to transition later in life because it stunts the growth of their genitals, making it a very shallow vagina once they invert it, once they get older and have the surgery. So they won't be able to invert the penis to make it into a neo-vagina. They'll have to go and use intestines or the colon, stuff like that, which is absolutely dangerous as fuck.
Whew.
So,
Speaking of colons.
oh, Remy. Well, don't sniff it. Don't inhale it like you're
I'm
huffing.
not trying
you're
to.
huffing his
I'm
farts,
not.
man.
You think I would whoop because I want more? What the fuck? Yeah, I was like, oh, because I loved it.
Anyway, so anyone who's trying to push puberty blockers,
Cite Jazz Jennings.
cite Jazz Jennings, man. It's a bad idea.
Jazz Jennings had to go through multiple procedures, and they did have to use, I believe, intestine.
Or the colon. I can't remember which one.
Either way, poor Jazz Jennings.
Many surgeries.
That's what happens if you put boys on puberty blockers.
That's just one thing that happens.
Their hips don't get wider. So that's not talked about a lot, but if a woman wants to have a natural childbirth in her 20s and she was on these puberty blockers for years, well, guess what? That's not going to happen. These puberty blockers combined with the cross-sex hormones are sterilizing kids. Because guess what? We're not supposed to be experimenting on children and changing their sex with a pharmaceutical drug that's never been approved by any health body anywhere in the world and is given off-label to kids just to appease this lie that they need to be something they're not.
So you grew
And this is why I hate the fact that I bring it back to this. But pre-COVID, this wasn't a thing because people weren't taking medications just willy-fucking-nilly. Once they put out the vaccines, everyone became okay with just taking whatever was there. And now you're putting it in the kids' bodies. There's a reason they have standardized testing where it has to be approved for adults and then for children. These are not approved drugs for children. It has to be said again and again. Every single trans child, like they're talking about, is a fucking experiment. Their life is an experiment.
Look up the Tavistock Clinic.
So you grew up as a tomboy,
Yes,
and you agree with the sign.
correct.
Why do you agree with it?
Because it's the same way, children, you can't get tattoos, you can't, get nose piercings, you can't, you're a child. If I look back on all the things I did when I was 16, that's a terrible decision. All the things I would have done at 16 versus now at 24, that's a terrible decision. And you're not mentally developed enough to make a correct decision at that age.
Here's somebody that's stating something that's obvious. Actually, if people would not be so mind screwed up going along with ideology, they're promoting gender dysphoria. They're not doing anything to deal with the person that's struggling with it.
They're trying to push on us things that we don't necessarily agree on. They don't.
Nice accent. But it's true. Like I said earlier, if you look at TikTok and any of these trans individuals, they're always talking about how happy they are, how wonderful it is. As a sad child, it's not a surprise to me that they are watching this and saying, I want to be like them. I want to be happy too.
But also, the hormones that they're taking into their body
Yes.
does give them
that gender euphoria they're talking
that
about.
euphoria. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's not sustainable. It's like taking drugs aren't sustainable for a happy life when you have other issues.
No, because it doesn't come down to just your gender dysphoria most times.
No, there's usually other things that are going on that absolutely are not being addressed because the gender thing is being addressed more than the other things.
And I have a really, really important question. Are you sure you have gender dysphoria, or do you just feel like the world is unfair?
Who are you asking?
Everyone. Anyone who falls into this thought process. Do you really, because I can understand.
Oh, they're probably not watching our videos.
I know. Like, ask your friends. But, like, but genuinely, do you really have gender dysphoria, or do you just think the world is unfair? Do you just think we live in a sexist world, and that's why you need to be the other gender? That's what it feels like to me. When I was young, and I was into a girl, and she said, I'm not a boy, so that's why we couldn't be together, my thought wasn't, man, I should be a boy. It was, man, that sucks, but we'll move on. So is it really, you know what I mean?
It's not that.
What do you think?
Well, when it comes down to it, it's this, okay? It's all just homophobia. When it comes down to it, it's fucking homophobia and it's misogyny.
It's misogyny.
And I'm using those words not just willy-nilly. I'm actually using these words. That's exactly what the fuck it is. It's blanketed misogyny.
Half of what I said, yeah.
It's
You just
misogyny
think the world is misogynistic.
in a skirt and a wig.
You think the world's misogynistic, and that's why you want to change genders.
Absolutely. Which is why self-IDing is so dangerous. Because a woman could be like in a store.
Yeah.
And some dude will be next to her. She'll like get creeped out, right?
Yeah.
Instinctual. Now, if that dude is dressed like a woman, now she can't be freaked out because now she's a bigot.
The thing is that woman is still freaked out because it's biological.
But she internally starts to hate herself and shame herself for feeling that way, which is fucked up. But to be making women feel this way.
It is fucked up. My point is that if you truly think you're trans, or you truly have gender dysphoria, you think you do, you're a trans kid, right? Do you really have gender dysphoria, which is feeling like you belong in a different body, right? Or is it the fact that you just think the world's fucked up?
I think they're spoiled. A lot of these, the ones who are self-IDing, they came out in slews. I think a lot of those are just boring, spoiled kids who just want attention because they're not interesting.
So the reason I ask is because the woman I was with, who went by they, thems, she literally said her brother was able to do everything she wasn't able to do.
And some of them are just very sad kids.
And she wants to be treated the way her brother was treated. That's why I ask, is it really gender dysphoria, or do you just think the world's unfair?
Why isn't the therapist asking that?
Right, why are therapists not asking? Why, you see, this is why you need to send them to therapy.
Because they're not allowed to.
But it's true. It's a really true question, and I think it's a real deep question that these kids need to think about.
They can't ask it.
I don't think it's a harmful question.
They'll get in trouble.
I just don't think it's a bad question
You
to
have
ask.
to affirm.
I don't think it's bad.
Don't even ask us what we think, and they're really trying to push hard on this. And I have a 23-year-old kid, and one day he's going to be a dad, and I'm worried for my grandchildren. I don't want them to grow up like that. They are little kids. When you are 25 years old, that's science, your prefrontal cortex is when you are able to fully take your own decisions. Not at 9 or 10 or 11. You cannot do that. You cannot take away our rights to be parents just because you want to fill in your hidden agenda.
I know there's Jazz Jennings who was transitioned at 2. I have a 3-year-old daughter. My daughter at 3 years old, who just turned 3, doesn't know the difference between a boy and a girl. How did a 2-year-old know that they were a girl?
Right. I also want to point this out too. It also scares the shit out of kids. Okay? Because kids can't understand it. So because they can't understand it, they have like other ideas in their head. Even if you like explain it and they say they understand, they don't fucking understand. They don't understand shit.
No, they don't know what
They
sex
get scared.
is.
They're like, oh my God, am I going to grow a penis?
Right.
Oh my God, because girls can be boys and boys can be girls. Like, you're fucking up the kids' heads. They're so confused. And they should be thinking about kickball or playing piano or hanging out with their fucking friends, listening to music, making music, learning a language, something like that.
I've heard enough guys say that, like, when they hit the puberty era, when their penis starts getting erect, which is a horrible thing to say, but they're terrified. They're terrified because, like, they don't know how to control it. They don't know when it's going to happen. So I'm not surprised that some men don't want it at all, especially at that point in their life. It's uncomfortable. It's awkward.
Well, if these people agree that hormones can change a person mentally and physically,
Spiritually.
then why would they want to inject the kid who's trans, they say, with hormones that will change them?
Because the kid wants it. That's what they say. The kid wants it right now. Do it. Do it now. Get in the candy bar.
Puberty blockers stunts your IQ, too, amongst other things.
It is not a good thing to stop a child from maturing. Do you really want to stop children from maturing? Think about it.
I don't like it.
It's not safe. It's not good. It's not safe. It's crazy.
Instead of a boy, like.
It's like a vegan cat.
Yeah, but I also
Like
agree.
it's not vegan because it's choosing to be.
Yeah, like I'm very much on the side of if you're an adult, do whatever I don't care. Just don't affect my life. But a kid, it's like let them be. Once they turn 18, let them do whatever they want. Like once you're a legal adult.
It's cool that you brought that up just because that is really our focus here.
Yeah.
And at the very top, a lot of people ignore this, that children cannot consent to puberty blockers. So I'm glad that you brought that up.
We've got the top trans health professionals in the world working at the most prestigious gender clinics in the country. At Boston Children's Hospital, for example, where the doctor says on video that children know seemingly from the womb that they are transgender. It's things like a little girl trying to pee standing up, a little boy trying on his sibling's.
My God, when I was a kid, I tried to pee standing up.
I never tried because it just didn't
I
seem...
did.
It didn't seem logistical. Like, I tried... Like, even
It
if I
wasn't.
If I
It
wanted to
wasn't.
approach it, it just doesn't seem effective, you know?
It wasn't.
They also taught my brother to pee sitting down when we were kids, so...
But the fact of the matter is these motherfuckers would have seen me coming a mile away. They would have injected me with puberty blockers.
Leaning against the wall, cooter over the toilet.
It's more like a hover and a squat.
Yeah, because you can't pee like
I
a dude.
know.
I'm just imagining you against the wall.
And you know what? I want to make this point as well. Okay, when I went through that phase where I wanted a penis for convenience sake.
Convenience. How old were you?
10, 11.
Okay,
You know,
okay, I got you.
If this ideology was going on then, it would have totally invaded my brain. But because this wasn't an option when I was a kid, like it wasn't even something people talked about, I was like, I gotta use what I got, and went on my merry way. But if someone would have gotten into my head and made me like really think about that shit, it would have messed me up as a kid. Totally would have fucked me up.
If my parents weren't the Republicans they are, then not only would I be probably trans, but my little brother would be too.
Oh yeah.
You know how many people call him gay still, and he's not, but he gets called gay all the time. And when I was talking to him, I was explaining that to him, and you could see him like, yeah, shit.
Yeah.
They would have tried to trans him.
Kids can't consent. Kids can't consent.
My little brother
can't
had
consent.
baby dolls and would wear high heels occasionally, but he just had two sisters and a mom around him all the time. He likes musicals, but he's had more ladies than probably most men around his age, unfortunately. So, like, to say that you can just let a kid do that because they seem more feminine or whatever. Tommy would have been trans at Jazz Jennings' age.
The Munchausen by proxy mothers of yesteryear are the trans moms of today.
It'll be potent.
Clothing, playing with the opposite gender toys.
My
These
dad
are
does
apparently all a sign that your child is transgender and can be treated.
I did that growing up. I rode dirt bikes. I caught lizards. Like I did all the things that my guy friends did. Like I was the tomboy kid. I played kickball. I played football. I played tackle football with kids. I did soccer growing up. Like, but that doesn't.
Right. And now these same kids are being told that because they defy, sexist regressive stereotypes, that they might be trans and they won't find true happiness unless they transition.
I don't disagree that there's a struggle going on for these kids, but the way that it's going about is totally cruel and horrific.
Yes.
You know how you know which kids will be trans and which ones won't? The ones who were never exposed to it but felt it deep within. It's the ones who are exposed to it and are like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. That's a lot of them nowadays. When I was a kid, I wasn't exposed to gay, but I knew I liked girls.
I was actually explicitly told, I didn't know what gay was, but I knew that it was bad.
I didn't even know it was bad when I was young and I
knew
liked
that
girls.
God thought it was bad.
I just knew that I had to be with guys and I didn't like it.
And even as old as 17, which was like 2 years after I knew I was out and dating women, I was told, a guy will never want to be with you if you're fat. And like in my head, I'm like, I know, number one, I don't want to be with a guy. And number two, what do I care about your opinion? Point being, even as old as 17, I was still being told, even a few months ago, you remember I told you, I was asked if I'll ever get with a man. But this woman right here, she's making really good points.
Yeah.
It is definitely a struggle, and it is sad. Jazz Jennings, we have nothing but compassion for that poor individual. Their mother is all in that shit.
She's the new Gypsy Rose.
And it's sad. It's really sad, and Jazz deserves a chance at a real life. These kids are struggling. It's the way that the world is handling it. That's the problem.
It's the adults around them doing the wrong things and saying the wrong things.
Everyone's been sold a quick fix. You don't like how you are right now? Change your gender.
I'm someone who's been on a shit ton of different medications.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones is the biggest bunch of bullshit for children. And I say that because they make it sound like it is the quick fix, it will make you happy, but never do they ever say anything about the side effects and what bad can happen. Anytime you take something and you put it in your system that's foreign, that shit's gonna have side effects. Why don't they talk about the side effects? Because they don't want you to know. Because if you do, then you'll be like, maybe not. And they want you to transition. Why?
There's some side effects they do know and aren't telling. And then the other part of the dime is that this is fucking new. They don't know the side effects. Stop doing it to kids.
Oh.
It's just so irritating.
And it goes on the list of crimes against humanity. It's nothing to do with caring about the children, nothing to do about saving them from their psychological issues or whatever. It's all about promoting an agenda that ends in death and destruction, that supports the pharmaceutical industry, that disallows parents any say in anything, which is just unbelievable to me. So I think it's horrific on so many levels.
Say when you were like 13 years old, they gave you stuff so your voice doesn't get deep, your balls don't drop, you like don't grow armpit hair, mustache hair.
You end up with the micro penis.
Yeah. Well, he already has one, so
Yeah, we can't fix that one.
It'll make a difference. What do you think about that?
I think I answer. What's your question again?
Do you think we should be doing childhood sex changes?
Oh no, definitely not. Oh my gosh, no.
You see, sometimes you just need to say it simple. And then these kids are like, holy shit, what the fuck? No. Why would I do that? What? That's how it should be. They should be scared. That should be scary to say that you, let's change the sex of these children. No. Why?
It's the ones watching Real Housewives. You know, it's the ones who are watching Vanderpump Rules. You know, those are the white women, the white middle class, upper class women who want to be popular in their little gaggle of friends.
Could you explain your question one more time? Should we change children's sex? Ah! No. Like, jeez, dude.
Wow.
I loved it. He did a great job.
16 and up.
They have the ability to say, Mom, I want to hop on puberty blockers. I want to hop on cross-sex hormones. I want to get a surgical procedure. All of this stuff before they are an adult. Why all of this freedom for a child to just do what they want to do when that's not how laws work in the United States? What's going on there?
Because, so when it comes to a decision about your personal identity, it's very different than, it's not much different than much else, I will admit. So your point is that why do we not let 16-year-olds do whatever they want?
We have a large history of protecting children from many things. I mean, things that are far less extreme than this.
Did you see how fast he just dismissed his entire opinion?
Mm-hmm.
I agree. That was beautiful. It was like, you saw his mind. Sorry.
Holy shit.
It was beautiful to watch his mind go, shit, I'm wrong.
In this. You can't go get a tattoo legally.
Yeah.
Okay? That's far less extreme than this conversation.
Absolutely.
This is a massive
So where I was going first
inconsistency
was that
here.
it's very different. But now that I'm really thinking about it, it's actually not that different from other things that that children are protected from under the law, like tattoos or like major decisions. I mean,
Smoking,
drinking.
sex
that,
with adults.
Can I potentially push you, and I just cut you off, I apologize. Can I potentially push you to 18?
I could see 18 being a reasonable number. I could also see 16 being a reasonable number, though.
I guess you're right on the
And that's
edge right
because
there. That's right on the
well,
edge.
the reason is because if you have the maturity to make a decision for yourself and your parents believe, and let me just, I'll make this point as quickly as possible. It's a bit of a complicated point.
Please, take your time.
If you have the maturity and your parents believe that you have the maturity to make a decision about whether you have a tattoo, whether you want to have a tattoo, your parents can allow you to have a tattoo. They can sign off and give their permission.
Far less extreme. I understand.
Far
I think
less
it's like
extreme.
17 in some places. Far less extreme than this
But my
conversation.
point is that we allow parents in this country to sign off on many things
They
to
can't
give our
get a
parents
12-year-old a
kids
tattoo.
permission. What do you know what the age is?
I
Like,
said
can they
I
give,
said 17 maybe in some states.
I don't know,
No,
but they
absolutely,
can't usually.
absolutely not.
For parents.
You can't, in New York State, you can't get a tattoo at 17 ever. You have to be 18. I got my first tattoo on my 18th birthday. A week before, we knew the man. He was a friend, and he still was like, I could lose my license for tattooing a minor, even with parents' permission.
If they allow children, if they pass laws that allow children to consent to puberty blockers, that opens the door to children can consent to a lot of other things.
a
Because
big,
now
scary
you're
door.
now by allowing this to be a law, you're dismissing the other laws that children cannot consent. Like tattoos,
Yes.
sex with adults, shit like that. You're in a very, very dangerous territory when it comes to children.
Well, because you're saying children can make decisions for the long term, and that they are of sound mind to know that that is exactly what they wanted in that moment.
Even if their mind isn't fully developed yet. They got this.
No regrets allowed, because these kids know what they're doing. Did you know what you were doing at 15 or 16 years old? Because I was just getting started.
Maybe they're just all pedophiles.
Do you think he is?
No, the people pushing it, like the people really going gung-ho for the trans kids thing.
Money.
I
I think the biggest motivator is money, because your kid
Okay.
could be on TikTok, and then the pharmaceutical industry gets money. Where's the downside?
Right. I'm not talking about big business. I'm talking about people. The people aren't getting money for it. Why are they pushing it? Social media accolades and pervert stuff.
Well, I mean, as far as a parent doing it, I can see completely why they would, especially in today's day and age. They'd go with it because they don't want to be called transphobic. They don't want to be called an asshole. They don't want to be called a bigot. So that's why they go with it. That was exhausting.
That was a lot. Wasn't as bad as his other ones, though. It was just that weird autistic guy.
Yeah, it was more exhausting to listen to, but it's nice to see someone's mind be actively changed.
That's very true. Do y'all think that children can consent to puberty blockers?
They don't. They're in our audience. If they got this far and they don't agree with us, then I'm shocked. Comment below. I'm proud of you.
Comment below.
Yeah, if you made it this far and you
Like-
disagree with us.
Like and subscribe. Ring our bell.